Welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. And this week, Blop right now. Thank you very much. I need somebody with a Martian touch. We're talking about Blop! Cue the music! Hello there, Capers, and as I said, welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast for a place to hang your cape. My name is Scott James Merridew, and this is the show where we talk about various geek and nerd-related topics, and are joined each week by a very special, different guest. This week, we're talking with the creator of Blop, Martian Explorer. Give it up, Capers, for Alex Hahn! How you doing, Alex?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well on this lovely, sunny Edinburgh morning. How are you? Where are you calling from?
So I'm down in Buckinghamshire, a little village called Flackwell Heath, which probably no one's heard of.
Ooh, the Royal County.
I guess. It's pretty overcast at the moment, but it's not bad. It's been windy and wet all week.
I mean, let's be honest, it's been overcast in England, in fact the whole of the UK, for a while now. A general overheading looming spectre of gloom, dread and destruction, independent of the weather. But we won't talk about that. We talked about politics before on this show, and the recent thing we've had comments, we're going to move on from that, because otherwise, I might just be liable to hang myself. But anyway, we're talking about something good. We're talking about Blop, the Martian Explorer. This is, honestly, Blop, Alex, is the cutest fucking thing I've seen in a long time.
Oh, thank you. That's quite a compliment.
It's a bizarre compliment, but it's yours. Yeah, he is. He's just a cute. I mean, it's difficult to make little blobby Martian alien beings cute, but you managed it somehow. I think it's partially the eyes, but also the nice little smile he has, the nice little cheeky grin he has.
Yeah, no, well, I want him to look very friendly, because after all, he's trying to infiltrate human family, and, if he came there looking all scary, I don't think they'd really, let him in. They'd just, slam the door in his face.
Just like, ah, predator! Boom!
Yeah.
No, they don't want to do that, but we're going to talk about Blop in a minute. But before we do that, we're going to talk about you! What do you do? What's your life like? What's your reason for being? What is your place in the grand cosmic scale that we call reality? Explain your purpose for being!
Well, I'm trying to make it as a freelance illustrator and self-publisher. So I've just been studied illustration. I graduated in 2001. Not 2001, 2011. Jesus, I'm not that old. And I just love self-publishing, writing my own stories, and the actual making side of books as well. So a lot of my practice involves handmade zines and things with fairly, not standard folding, and how that plays with the reading order. So I like experimenting with that. And
you're a craftsman.
Yeah, I guess so. And then I do editorial illustration as well, which is the more commercial side of it, which is also very fun and challenging because you're coming up with ideas-based pieces quite quickly. And also I get hired for likeness type work as well. So sometimes they need headshots and things.
Oh, so you illustrate people in a photorealistic way, or?
Not photorealistic. It's on the more realistic end of the scale. So it still looks very, obvious line work, and very inspired by sort of classic comics.
Oh yeah, the sort of like the Dan Dare sort of Flash Gordon-esque sort of thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, very much so. So there's rendering involved, and rather than trying to make things too cartoony, but I have a sort of a scale of different looks I use for things. So some quite realistic, and then getting to the more cartoonier end with Blop.
So you got range. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, I'm very glad to hear that. We're going to talk about all of that. But before we do that, considering the fact that we're talking about something vaguely sci-fi and space-related, it only makes sense we talk about the recent news. Capers, you will have heard about this by now. But we have to talk about it. We just have to, because Alex, James Gunn is back as director for Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh, yeah, I heard that yesterday.
permit me to just express my feelings about this just briefly, just for a moment, because this is something that I'm very passionate about. I think a lot of people are, and it's something that I really want to get off my chest. Yes! Okay, so yeah, that's done with now. So I mean, we thought that we lost James Gunn to the dark side of DC with Suicide Squad 2. But no. He's back with Marvel. And the implication has been this is the way it was going to be for quite a while. Apparently, he'd been in talks with Marvel and Disney for some time now, and they've constantly been meeting and stuff and figuring stuff out. And it's only now that they're prepared to commit and say, yes, he's back. So it's like they've been keeping us in suspense for a rather long time.
Yeah, I guess it maybe you just got to wait a certain amount of time for things to kind of blow over and cool down. Because I mean, I don't remember all the kerfuffle about why he was fired in the first place, but
I do. I won't repeat it because
yeah.
I mean it's a pointless, stupid I think we mentioned the show before, but I'll say it again. He should not have been fired. Reprimanded, sure, maybe. There's lots of measures they could have taken, measures maybe they shouldn't have taken. Fired, no. There's plenty of reasons to this day and age for firing someone or not wanting to work with someone, but this is one of the reasons that maybe not. You should take a second. And it was clearly a snap decision made, and they clearly regret it, considering the backlash that happened, considering not just the fans, because when are Disney going to fucking listen to the fans ever, but also the cast and crew of Guardians of the Galaxy, who unanimously stood behind him. So clearly they realized, oh shit, we messed up. But we can't admit we were at fault. We're Disney. The second we start saying we did something wrong, it's the second our entire empire crumbles to the ground. Maybe if we could just, rehire him. We can't immediately rehire him because that would be like we're admitting fault. Well, why don't we just wait a couple of months and just see where things go? And clearly that's what happened. And I don't even fucking care at this point because the right man to direct Guardians of the Galaxy is back, and everything is back on track, and we're getting Guardians of the Galaxy 3, more importantly, and so everything is okay. It's like one small part of this incredibly fucked up life we're all living for the past 2 or so years has just suddenly auto-corrected. It's like, maybe now we can have this lovely thing called hope? Could we have that now, please? I think we're hopeful. I mean, are you a big Guardians of the Galaxy guy?
Fairly. I mean, I really love all the Marvel films. So it's the one. Well, that and Star Wars, the film franchises I follow, pretty much all the time. I think I really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. The second one I've only seen once, and it was all right. I think I need to give it another watch though.
It is something that I think deserves more than one view. I've seen it a couple of times. I saw it once at an outdoor theatre in Edinburgh. I just perched on the hard ground somewhere and just watched it on a big screen. I mean, it was not a comfortable experience, but it was fun. I never understood just lying on a field with a blanket or something and just watching a movie because you could never get comfortable. Take a fold-out chair or something, but then you're blocking someone's view, so you have to lie down or sit down or crouch or perch or something, and then you just soar whilst watching a good movie. It's really fucking annoying. Do you know what I want to do? I want to go a drive-in movie theater. I want to take my car, my Cadillac with my best gal, and go see the latest flick. That's what I want.
That'd be an interesting experience. I've not seen any of those over in England.
No, I don't think they even have them in America anymore. I think they're just disused and just tumbleweed blowing through them because now we've got the convenience of home video and streaming services and Sky box office and all that shit. So we don't really need those things anymore. And it's sad. And yeah, you're allowed to be nostalgic for it. And maybe sometimes you'll bring them back for once, special things, you do special showings of science fiction movies, double features and stuff like that. But they're never going to come back permanently. And I think that is okay. It's a shame, but it's okay because that's the nature of capitalism and society and technology. We're constantly moving forward, and I'm a big believer in like leave the stuff that doesn't work or isn't as accessible or convenient behind and start moving forward with a much more convenient, much more user-friendly stuff. Just because it's better, and you're allowed to be nostalgic for it, but at the same time, it doesn't work anymore. Which is not to say that everything that's slightly old or slightly retro no longer has any relevance. Because, I mean, what you're doing right now with Blop, you're doing like a shorter, like, strip format. It's not like a linear storyline, and that's one of the oldest form of, like, comics that we have. You're keeping up with that. So I think, you know, it's a case by case thing. Like I'm a big modernizer, but that doesn't mean we should forget the lessons of the past either. And taking this all the way back to James Gunn, like keep moving forward with James Gunn, but let's not forget, you know, why he got fired, the things he said that caused him got fired, Disney's reaction, and let's just take those lessons and put them forward, you know, going forward. Let's really think about how we want to treat people for things they say, how we want to treat people for things they've said in the past, and just our general working practices. Because ever since Liam Neeson made the spectacular decision to reveal that he was, you know, a violent racist in his past, out of nowhere, with little to no pushing from the guy who was interviewing, and that poor interviewer, dear God, he didn't know what he was about to stumble into, the world that he was about to unleash, but he did. And it's something that I think that we as a society, as a pop culture community, as a, you know, a film community and stuff like that, need to address and really think about and have a conversation about, because some conversations are very easy. Oh, you sexually molested people. Well, you're out. We don't want to work with you anymore. Done. And then there's things like, okay, you did this horrible thing in your past, but you apparently got treatment and counseling for it, and you're not like that anymore. I don't know. It's tricky because on the one hand, you shouldn't be punished for something that happened a long time ago that doesn't even have any relevance to and you're a different person now, assuming it's not illegal or anything like that. But on the other hand, like, I could understand why no one would want to work with someone like that. It's a very tricky thing. I wouldn't really want to work with Liam Neeson after this, like I'm going to get the chance, ha! But it's, I said we weren't going to talk about politics, but now we're talking about something very serious anyway. Dear God, I tend to ramble. I mean, what's your take on all of this?
Well, I mean, it's obviously very, very complicated because everyone's going to have a mix of opinions, some, you know, a lot more stronger than others. I think it really depends on a lot of circumstances. And I think, you know, on the one hand, that everyone should have the right to try and, you know, atone for their past mistakes and, you know, it not something that you carry around, you know, for the rest of your life and you're sort of blacklisted from everything and that. Obviously dependent on what that mistake was. Because after all, I mean, you know, our whole like criminal justice system is based on the fact that people can turn their lives around. You know, you pay for your crime and then you know, you're out, you know, and it's not like, you know, certain like American states where you have like the death penalty or something, you know, you are giving people a chance at redemption.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a more eloquent way of saying that.
No, I think I think you hit the nail on the head because like we've all done stupid stuff in the past. I mean, we've never done stuff like what he did. Dear God, what James Gunn did. I mean, come on. But we've all done stuff maybe we're not proud of, stuff we regret. Like when I was a kid, do you know what I liked? I fucking liked the anime Flint the Time Detective. Did you ever watch that show?
I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's a fantastic show. It's about this caveman kid and his caveman dad who are attacked by these time thieves who fossilize them in the pursuit of these things called time shifters, which are essentially Pokemon, but we won't go into that because every anime at the time was trying to be Pokemon. And they're found years later by the Time Bureau and these two kids, and they're defossilized, except for the dad, who's a giant rock, who they turn into a hammer that they can use to re-fossilize other stuff, and they go in adventures through time and space, trying to fight this weird green-haired lady in a skin-tight red leather jumpsuit thing, assisted by various wacky creatures, a robot pterodactyl, and a half-vampire guy called Murloc Holmes. It wasn't a very good show, is what I'm trying to get across. You ever have that sudden flash of nostalgia, like, hey, remember that thing I used to watch when I was a kid? I should look that up, because we live in the age of infinite data availability, so we can do that. So I looked up Flint the Time Detective, I watched one episode, and I thought, oh, yeah, so this was shit then. Oh, dear. It's... The nostalgia goggles were very firmly on until I actually watched it again and then realised, oh no. Do you ever have that experience? You ever have that thing where you're just like, hey, I should check out that thing that I loved before, and then you check it out, and it's like, oh wait, no. Has that happened to you?
Not so much. I mean, I've had that feeling of wanting to check it out, but then it's the actual getting round to doing it.
You resisted.
Hasn't really happened. Yeah. And other things like that I know I probably still would enjoy. So a lot of those like old Cartoon Network shows like Courage the Cowardly Dog or Dexter's Lab, which I think would probably still hold up today. Like, I think they were very enjoyable.
Yeah, because it's the annoying thing, because there is so much stuff from our childhoods and from the past, again, going back to this feeling of nostalgia and stuff that does hold up, that holds up really fucking well, surprisingly well. And then we're kind of spoiled by the timelessness of it, and then we go to see something else, and we're like, oh, this will be just as good, right? Except it's not. And because, nostalgia goggles, they are not fair and balanced. They are very cruel sometimes. Sometimes we think we're going to get something, and that's not to say it doesn't take away the enjoyment we had when we were kids, but at the same time, it colours up. It's annoying. It's really annoying. Just this idea of that adulthood, the lens of adulthood has on some things. Just sometimes you just get realizations that just really fucking annoying. Kind of ruins something. Like it was so bizarre. The other day, right? I just happened to look past by a mirror, and I just looked in the mirror, and then immediately my mind, because my mind is broken and stupid, flashback to Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and the Mirror of Erised. Don't ask me why. Like I said, brain broken. It just because I saw a mirror, I thought of the Mirror of Erised. Yeah. I can't explain it. That's the way the neural pathways. That's the way the neural pathways went. Exactly. And then I continued walking past the mirror, and then I stopped, and I realised something. Oh my fucking god! The Mirror of Erised. Erised is desire backwards! Ow! And I want to point out, I first read that book when I was 7 years old. I'm now 26. It's taken me nearly 20 years to figure that out! It's not a particularly complex code. It's just desire spelled backwards! It's taken me this long! What's wrong with me? I mean, I pride myself on being quite analytical and figuring out complex patterns in the pop culture I watch and the things that I read to determine patterns and what strengths and weaknesses. And it took me 19 years to figure out that Erised is desire backwards. I'm a moron!
Well, maybe you just got too caught up in, the magic of Harry Potter to...
exactly.
To really think about all of that. You just take it at face value, and
it's the veil of fantasy, the suspension of disbelief. I mean,
that's the one. I
mean, for some things, maybe it's amazing that it took me 19 years to figure that out. So I think we're going to move on from my broken brain, and we're going to talk about Blop. So, in your own words. Finally, let's get on to the real meat of the episode. What is Blop about?
Cool. Blop, he is a Martian explorer, and the story is basically his adventures of coming to Earth, trying to make sense of humans and what we do, and also, at the same time, trying to, make sure he's doing a good job of, investigating and sending his findings back to Mars. Because obviously he wants, to increase his standing over there, because he gets a bit of flack for being the only green Martian from a race of very multicolored aliens.
Oh wow!
So there's
Racism.
lots of
It's
little
not
things
just limited to Earth.
No, I mean, I like putting in little issues, but it not being what the comic's about. So it's not, it's going to be in there as like, a bit of subtext, and how the other Martians, he stands out obviously because of that. But I don't really see it as being a book where I'm sort of dealing with, sort of topics of like racism and so on. Mainly just because I don't think I have anything particularly unique to say about it.
Yeah, it's the classic sort of setup. The idea, what would an alien think when they visited, our planet, and what would they make of our customs and our cultures? It's a thing that's been exploited for a long time now, both in a serious context and a funny context. I think the biggest example of funny context would be, Robin Williams' classic TV series, Mork and Mindy. But what's interesting about it is you're taking on it, and it's a much more modern spin. And whereas Mork and Mindy was just like, no, and Mork calling us and all that sort of shit. It's much more about the small, tiny moments and intricacies of modern day life, I find. Because I obviously haven't had a chance to read Blop, Martian Explorer, but I have had a chance to read the Little Blop Book of Cool. And just sort of little things that Blop finds cool. And again, it's a very alien perspective, and it's like, oh, he doesn't quite get what's going on. But it's also, it's a classic case of the outsider looking in, and he kind of get what's going on, but not entirely. And what's great about it is because it shines a light on the truly bizarre nature of our existence, I find. Is that what you were sort of going for when you were coming up with the character? How did you come up with the character?
Well, it did come very much from the idea of, the alien looking in, because the germ of it started back on like a creative writing module at uni, where it was
in 2001.
Writing something. No, 2010 that was. So, yeah. I don't know why I said 2001.
You missed the whole decade.
I know. I mean, the last one flew by. I don't think I've missed two. But yeah, and it was just writing a story from the alien's perspective, and I thought it'd be fun to have this alien come and be super confused by the language we use. So in particular, various idioms and turns of phrase that literally translated mean, nothing at all, or something very confusing.
I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Dear
exactly.
God, someone fetch me Dobbin! Yeah, it's a classic thing, but the great thing about, it's very much in the vein of, I find, the sort of impression I got, it's very much in the vein of, like, observational stand-up humor, like, what's the deal with airline food? That sort of thing. And and it's like, when you shine a light on these little things, it truly reveals how bizarre they are, and I do really like that. It's very sort of subversive, I find, but not in terms of a big, as you say, political level, dealing with the great ramifications of living in a society with sapient beings and all the different philosophies and cultural constructs that we have. It's on the much smaller things, the average things, the day-to-day things that really anyone, at least anyone living in the UK, can find relatable. And I really enjoy that sort of thing, just because it's so often overlooked, except for, the stand-up thing. And even then, that's exaggerated to a ridiculous degree. We look at someone like Michael McIntyre, who, I don't know why I said his, that was a weird cadence when I said Michael McIntyre. It's Michael McIntyre. See, it sounds, but it's very different ways of saying the same name. And he does, it is very funny. I really enjoy his stuff. But it blows so many small things out of proportion. The impression I got was that you're not blowing the small things out of proportion. You're just sort of, I don't know, like magnifying them. It's like, instead of like using Willy Wonka's giant make things bigger ray, you're just getting a microscope and examining it in closer detail, again, from an outside perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment of it. Yeah, and so you mentioned like stand-up comedy in that, because I really love like stand-up comedy. So I think that does kind of feed into it and influence things.
So we'll see some of your bigger stand-up comedy, people that you like.
Well, probably most of the people that end up on Comedy Central at some point. So I really like people like Jimmy Carr or Rod Gilbert. There was actually one moment that kind of ties in with the Blop Book of Cool was there's the scene in there where I've got Blop showing how like everyone loves a cup of tea. Do you remember that page?
I do remember that. That was in the Blop Book of Cool. Yeah. I'm trying to find it. I've got it in front of me. Just trying to find it. Where is it? There's lots of it's big pages, big splashy pages. Oh yes. So letting everyone know about your quaint love of tea is a special kind of cool.
Yeah, that's the one. So like, it's just that I would see a lot of people mentioning that as like an interesting fact about themselves in a lot of places. So it could be on, the about page on their website, or it could be on like a Tinder profile, and as if like that's like the most salient fact about someone is that they like tea.
We'll only respond to people who like Lapsang Souchong.
Yeah, and I occasionally mention this in like passing as a joke to people, and some people would get it, others don't. And then as I was working on the Blop one, I already had the tea thing as one of the strips. Then I was watching a Frankie Boyle comedy thing on Netflix. I think it's called Hurt Like You've Never Been Loved, I think.
That's a very Frankie Boyle title.
Yeah, and there's a little sequence in there about, I think he's talking about like people in their profiles. And he was like, tea drinker. I drink tea. That's me in a nutshell. And just like, I just like that he had that observation as well.
Yeah, because it's a very British thing to identify by your tea. Like, I thought I was a pretty good tea drinker because, I fling a bag into my Titus mug, fill it with hot water, boiling hot water, scalding hot water, lest anyone else think otherwise, and then maybe have a bit of cold water in it just to even it out, and then boom, done. I don't even put milk in it. I'm that kind of bastard. But and then I met someone a while ago who's like, oh yeah, I know some different kinds of tea, like teas like in the infinite shades of the color spectrum, and it's just like, really? It's like there's a whole world out there of tea that I didn't know about, and I don't want to know about. You can keep your fancy tea. I just like my ordinary shitty no milk tea. That's fine for me. It's I mean, you're absolutely right, because it's weird the way we identify ourselves by the things we consume, and I'm guilty of that as much as anyone, because I've made no secret of my love of certain things on this show, Marvel, and my hatred of certain things on this show, DC, and so that is a part of my identity. I'm the guy who hates DC and loves Marvel, and the guy who constantly mocks DC lovers as much as I can, because they're all in the shit for the most part. And Marvel is Lord High Emperor, which I saw coming. I mean, it's easy for people now, because Marvel is such a huge thing right now, I say, that everyone, it's got such a huge fan base now. But I was there at the beginning. I was there when the race of man failed. Throw it into the fire! No. Wait, no, that's Lord of the Rings. Anyway, I was there when, like, Thor was coming out at the same time as like Green Lantern, and I saw the box office returns for Thor, and I saw the box office returns and critical reception for Green Lantern. I remember I was at university actually at the time in Southampton, and I was on the street, and I just had my phone. I was looking at that, and I just started to laugh. Laugh in the middle of the street. People gave me weird looks. I didn't care, because I knew at that moment Marvel's time had come, because it's been so hit and miss before with things like Ghost Rider and Daredevil and like the mixed Raimi Spider-Man movies, and now we're finally getting Marvel's due at last, and I've just seen it grow and grow and grow, and I think like I've grown along with it. But I'm not one of those Johnny-come-latelys who came into Marvel like when it was getting popular and it's like, oh, it's the best thing ever. Like, I mean, if you did that, that's fine. You're allowed to come into any franchise whenever you like. It's absolutely fine. It doesn't make you any less of a fan. But I was here first. I was here first, and don't you forget it. The only people who were here before me were the people who were kids and reading the original comics of the goddamn 60s. They're the OG. I'm slightly less, I'm middle G, you know, but you're the new G, with people who came late to it. And as you say, my the whole identity thing allows me to go on a rant like that most other people would find, you know, bizarre and an indication of someone who is mentally unwell. But so many people define themselves. I mean, it's not just pop culture. People define themselves by the cars they drive, or the places they live, or the countries they inhabit, or their nationality, or their ethnicity, or their cultural background, or as you say, smaller things like tea, or worse, the coffee drinkers. Bum bum bum. I see.
Well, I don't know how to feel about that last one. I'm probably more partial to coffee than tea.
Oh God, I didn't know we were gonna have one of those people on the show. You with your Starbucks and your Costa coffee and your Frappuccinos. Oh wait, I actually do like the Frappuccinos. They're yummy. But anyway, common ground. You have no idea what you were in for when you agreed to become on this show, did you? You had no idea. You didn't know that what it was going to be about. But I mean, here's the thing, because I'm being random. A, because that's who I am. You can't change me. Don't even try. But also because the little Blop Book of Cool is rather random. There's so many different takes on so many different things. Oh my God, we just mentioned Frappuccino. I'm just scrolling through the book, and
have you seen the unicorn Frappuccino?
I've seen the unicorn Frappuccino. He's on one of those little like pedestal roller thingamajiggies on his phone, taking a selfie with a unicorn Frappuccino. He is a millennial at this point.
Yeah.
I do hate that phrase because it's so nebulous and so like I mean I was born in 1992. I was 8 years old when the millennium happened, and I will say millennium forever and ever, not the actual thing, because you know Victoria would forever, and so many people aren't gonna have a clue what the fuck I'm talking about, but I don't care. Look it up. And so being 8 years old when 2000 came along. Am I a millennial? Is that what I am? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, last I heard, I think there's like at least a range of about 20 years where you are a millennial, and it's, you know, quite a vast difference.
Yeah.
So I think technically I'm a millennial. I would have been 10 or 11 in the millennium.
Yeah. So I mean, you were there. You were around the time, so I don't know. But then again, if you were there from the millennium, then technically, like 60-year-olds are millennials. You know, I don't know. Just everyone who was alive at the time of the year 2000 is a millennial. That's it. Everyone is. And I'm sorry to go on such a weird tangent, but this is the show where we do that. It brings me back to the whole idea of like leaving a certain industry behind. There's so many articles. I'm not the first one to talk about this, but there's so many articles like millennials are killing this industry or millennials are killing that industry. And I'm thinking like, no, they're just realizing that they don't have as much need for that industry as other previous generations have done. And so they're not killing it, they're just leaving it behind, and it's up to that industry to either change its nature and update with the times, or fade into existence. It's the example I constantly use is like, oh, these, you know, new Edwardian types leaving behind the perfectly useful coach and buggy industry and getting in their motor cars with the pop and the toe-to-toe whole thing. Like, we're constantly moving forward. This has always been the way. And, you know, the only time when it wasn't the way was the fucking Dark Ages, where we weren't allowed to move on. And so, yeah, it's sad when an industry goes away, but new industries replace it, and new technologies come about, and new ways of doing things. And if you're so scared of change that you accuse an entire generation of killing an industry that isn't relevant anymore, you need to fucking wake up and smell the unicorn frappuccino. You don't even know what to say to that, do you? I'm so sorry.
No, I was thinking of just going to go and brew a coffee in the meantime.
Yeah, fair enough. I do give you a lot of time to do that. And another thing I like about, again, talking about the little Blop Book of Cool, is how he's not just observing like human behavior, he's trying to interact and integrate with human behavior. Like, there's one page that I really do like where he's wearing a black shirt with like flames at the bottom around the cuffs and stuff. And he says, "Fam, your shirt game is on point, but mine is lit AF." With all the subtlety and coolness of, you know, a 50-year-old trying to communicate to his teenage son about stuff he just doesn't understand.
He's totally trying to be down with the kids. Like, like I was, you know, like writing that line. I was kind of like, that is like, I was looking for possibly like the worst combination of those kind of words you could do, and
yeah, it's I mean, I think it's okay for us to make fun of it because we all had our stupid slang when we were kids. Like, I don't know why, but I think a lot of people in my school, I went to several primary schools. My very last primary school, towards the end of that, everyone went through a phrase where they were being sort of like, I don't know, hippie-ish. This is like early 2000s, and everyone was saying like, well, like at every sentence. Oh my god, it's coming back. I'm starting to say like all the time now. Oh god,
yeah,
I'm turning into Shaggy from Scooby Doo. Oh god, like Psych Scoob, we gotta get out of here. Oh god, it's finally happened. But it was so bizarre that sort of happened, and it's okay to make fun of it now and make fun of the new kids' cool stuff because, you know, one day, kids, all your slang and your cool phrases and idioms, that'll become uncool. And the entirely new generation will have their own slang because society is advancing at a much faster rate now and these sort of things are happening more and more and more. And so it's like Abe Simpson from The Simpsons. Like, I used to be with it, then what was it? Changed and no one told me. And so because, again, this is the idea of constantly moving forward. And it seems like Blop is going to be that guy, that poor guy, who's always just slightly behind the times.
Yeah. I mean, because I like the humour of him being, you know, a little bit off with things, misunderstanding, a bit clumsy, and, you know, but at least he's trying. And part of the whole Blop, all the Blop stories are going to revolve around the fact that he's very hands-on and wants to participate, whereas all the other Martians, they're more into their sort of like cold clinical observation, you know, just like, you know, freezing things, probing them kind of thing, or looking from afar.
And that's what I like about Blop is Blop Book of Cool and I guess Blop Martian Explorer is that it's not cynical. It would have been so easy for you to be satirize modern day life in a very cruel and judgmental way, but you didn't. It's very, you know, it's funny. It's making fun of these things, but it's more aimed at, you know, Blop not being able to fully integrate himself with these things than the things themselves. Like, for example, there's another page where Blop is taking an Instagram picture of his food. This thing's always done. And it could have been very easy to say, oh, look at people taking pictures of their food, how stupid it is. But it's making fun of Blop by having him soothe the food creatively like spaghetti and meatballs in a bike helmet.
Yeah.
And nachos and chili con carne and rice in what appears to be a bedpan.
That's right, yeah.
A burger on a book, and soup and a crusty roll inside a boot.
Yeah. Well, the book one, if you look closely, the title says Vegan Cookbook.
Oh yes, so it does. So
yeah.
I feel like a lot of vegans are going to be triggered, you know, when they see that post on Instagram. No, Blop, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. Jeez. Oh. God.
Yeah, but going back to your point, yeah. So with the Blop Book of Cool, the main thing I wanted to get across is it's not just me. It's not me looking at things in society and going, "Hey, this is shit. You're an idiot." You know, it's not, you know, meant to be mean or judging. It's more highlighting things and saying, I don't quite get this or that, or this is a bit weird. But if you like it, it's cool. It's essentially like, saying you do you.
Yeah, and because we've all got weird things that we like. Everyone's got their own little weird thing, and that's okay, as long as it's not illegal.
Yeah, and it is, and the other point as well to that is it's like, like whatever you like, but if you're liking it for its own merits, or because it appeals to you, not just because your friend's doing it. Absolutely. Where a lot of these things. So, for example, like he's got a little fidget spinner at the front of the book, and it's like, that's obviously one of those fads that just takes off because,
Excuse me, fad? The fidget spinner is a way of life. I'm spinning my fidget spinner right now up to the mic. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's there. Forever. Never forget.
Yeah, but, and that's cool. That's okay.
Yeah, because because it's all very well to look at something from the outside and say, this is why whenever I don't like something, I make a point to try and immerse myself in the thing I don't like as much as I can in order to understand it fully, so then I can at least say that I don't like it from a place of understanding. I hate DC so fucking much, but I do that because I have read a lot of DC stuff and I know a lot about the characters, and that's why I don't like them. It's not just an arbitrary thing, because you have to check things out. Because, recently, oh god, I can't wait to talk about this. I recently started playing Dungeons and Dragons. Alex, that's Alex, our editor, not Alex, you, Alex. She's gonna be very happy to hear this. Yes, I started playing D&D. And I'm really enjoying it, actually. I've only played 2 sessions so far. The first one did not go well. I want to tell you a story about this. It's going to turn into yet another fucking D&D podcast right now. Just bear with me. So, I decided to play as a monk character. A monk character, for those of you who don't know, it's the kind of character that just like to punch people and shit. He's like Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender meets with Bruce Lee. It's great. And my character's name was called Shin, because that's the thing he likes to kick. It's a simple name, I like it. And so we got put into this game called, I think it was Ravenloft. And it's basically D&D, but it's very spooky and dark and macabre. And it's all about this big vampire guy that you got to defeat. And I joined this party with a quest already in progress. And we were taking this lady to this village where they hunt werewolves for sport. And because there was a new pet player and I was surrounded by veteran players, they were very kind to me and very supportive. I want to make something very clear. The guys I was playing with were absolutely lovely, despite the nightmare that I caused. We're going to get to that. And one of them, this cleric guy who was wrapped in bandages, he gave Shin this platinum ring. And he says, okay, I want you to take this ring and I want you to guard it well. And because Shin was raised basically alone on a mountaintop, he does not get social interactions very well. So he asked this cleric guy whether or not he was, proposing marriage. And the cleric guy was like, just take the fucking ring, okay? and things happen. We explore the village a little bit, and then we come across the town guard putting up posters. And the head town guard, the leader of the town guard, has this evil, demonic-looking arm. This really scaly, thorny-looking demonic arm. I was like, ooh, that looks evil. And so the cleric guy and I go up to town guard, and cleric takes out a little scientific instrument and starts prodding at the arm. And the town guard guy, he's not happy about that. No one likes their arm being prodded. It's a well-known fact. And so he takes a swipe at cleric guy. At this point, I do a very, very, very stupid thing. I try and punch him. The second I say to the dungeon master, I punch the leader of the town guard, all the other people in the party just went, no! What are you doing? No! And there's a look of horror on their faces. And immediately the DM says, too late, roll for initiative. And they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them saying, what? He tried to punch you. It's saying, and they're saying, yeah. But he's the leader of the town guard. He's got a big, scary, demonic-looking arm. He's surrounded by the town guard, and you're level 1. You've got, like, no skills. What are you doing? I was like, oh, can I back out of this? No, you can't. Oh, shit. So I thought, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Being a monk, I get a bonus action after every action. So here's what I do. I go to punch him. Right in the face. I miss. But it's okay. Because I've got my bonus action, as I said. I go to punch him again. I miss. I can't run away, and even if I could run away, he would easily kill me. So now, because I'm right up in front of him, he's about to attack. None of the other characters can do anything yet. So he takes out, a small weapon. It's not really that impressive. It's just a massive fucking two-headed battle axe. And he hits me with it. In one hit, I am down, on the ground, no life points, blood spurting from my chest. I am basically clinging to life. It could go either way. The cleric guy immediately drops to his hands and he's like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. He's an idiot. He's drunk. He's drunk, that's what he is. He doesn't know anything. Punish him by all means. Cure wounds, cure wounds, cure wounds. But just don't kill him or us, please. They roll a persuasion check. It succeeds. And the town guy's like, okay, you know what? You lot clear off. At this point, I'm stabilized. But I'm still unconscious. And so the town guard lift my crumpled, blood-splattered, pathetic form and carry me over to the village square and put me in the stocks. At this point, I've been playing for about 20 minutes. And already, I've been nearly killed and put in a form of public humiliation punishment. Things aren't going well for Shin the monk.
No.
Except it gets worse. Because when they put me in the stock, they took everything away from me. They took all my equipment, all my darts, my quarterstaff, my money, everything off of me. And took it away. And they took it to the Baron who rules over the village. Not a very nice guy by all accounts. And so the other members of the party are like, well, you brought this on yourself. You're lucky this got resolved in this way and not anything worse. Right, so what are we going to do now? Do we pursue after the Baron? Do we free you now? Or do we have to get back your stuff? Wait a minute. Shin, do you still have the platinum ring? No, they took everything. Turns out the platinum ring isn't just a platinum ring. Oh, no. The platinum ring actually conjures forth like a sword made out of pure sunlight that is the only thing that can defeat the main bad guy vampire dude of the entire campaign. And I lost it. And it's in the hands of the town guards who they're now going to have to steal it from. And that's how the first session of my D&D adventures ended. It did not go well, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that story because I know I was a new player. I know there's lots of people who made mistakes in the first D&D campaigns. I challenge anyone who's ever played D&D to fuck up that royally. Thankfully, the second session went much better, and I'm definitely going to continue. But, oh my god. And it's one of those things that you get, once you're in it, you get so into it. And I felt the shame and humiliation I felt. Bear in mind, it's all made up. No, this is real. No, this is happening. But I felt like it was real, and I felt the shame and humiliation of letting down the other party members. And so, we've all got our weird things, but weird is fun, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I get that. Right. I mean, I've never played D&D.
I recommend it.
No, I could see people getting into it and like the storytelling aspect of it, and because it sounds pretty creative.
Yeah, and And so we're going to move on now. We're going to talk more about Blop Martian Explorer. We talked about the Blop's Book of Cool, and we're going to talk about Martian Explorer. And you're going more in depth. It's a bit less comic strippy and much more sort of much more traditional comic sort of thing. But again, still a individualized sort of serial, the right word, serial format. There's one thing I particularly like is it's a little story called Blop, making a meal of it. Blop. This is on the Kickstarter page, so you can check it out, Capers, for yourself. Blop sees a frozen chicken tikka meal for one, my favorite kind, and he takes it out of the freezer, puts it in the microwave, takes off the film, the film lid, and when he immediately opens it again upon having microwaved it, what I love about it is just like a big geyser of presumably heat rises up from the meal, as anyone who's had one of those microwave meals knows. It's just like incendiary, fiery volcano of Pompeii hot. I'm gonna singe image of Blop emptying the meal out onto a plate, looking rather worse for wear, and then making a note of this. I guess it's a communicator or something, saying humans have the strangest rituals for sustenance preparations. I think I passed their trials. Blop out. P.S. Please like my photo on Instagram. And yeah, it's this thing that we do on a regular basis. We put the microwave meals in the microwave. We take them out. We get our eyebrows blasted off by the heat, and then we eat these sorry remains on a plate in front of the TV. And he doesn't, and we don't view this as a ritual, but Blop does. Like it's an actual thing that you have to do in order to have the meal. And if you deviate from it in any way, shape, or form, like almost like you can't have the meal. That's the impression I got.
I mean, it's more just lots of observations about different things. Because whenever you look at anything you need to microwave, there's always a whole host of instructions, isn't there?
Yeah.
And they always vary. And some things, you got to cook for a little bit, take out, cook for a little bit more, stir, cook for a little bit, And there's just, it seems kind of crazy why there's not more of a standardized, easy way of doing it.
When are we going to get food in pill form? That's what I want to know.
One of the bits that I was quite pleased to get in there was when ones you have to like peel the film off and give it a stir. How often do you get it when the film is like that crappy type that just sort of shreds itself?
Shreds it, and immediately gets like blackened and burned, and you can't really touch it because it's too hot. And then you try and get it out, and it sort of crumbles, and then you get plastic film shards in your food. They have to then pick out. It's just like, good God, our lives are sad. I've been trying to cook more meals for myself, proper meals, and I'm not very good at it because I've discovered something. Cooking actual meals is fucking boring. I'm sure other people enjoy cooking meals. I don't. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the pasta boil, I'm cooking the vegetables and stuff like that, and it's just like, oh God, this is so much work for something that I'm going to eat in like 5 minutes. Conversely, I could put something in a microwave for 3 minutes and just like read a book or like go on and not have to worry about it. Like it's taking care of itself. You can't do that when you're cooking actual food. You have to keep an eye on it. It's really fucking annoying because I've not kept an eye on food before and it's immediately ruined. I leave a room for 2 seconds, come back in. Oh, well, that pizza is fucking barbecued now. It's gone. It's charcoal. What the hell? It's really fucking annoying. Maybe my oven hates me. Who knows? And that's another thing that I like about Blop. It's so infinitely relatable, and it's interesting. And you've got some of the more fantastic stuff in there. There's an incident where Blop is in charge of like finding out more about this thing called snow, and gets into a bit of a conflab with a Yeti creature.
Yeah, that's the sort of the second main story in there. So that one is 9 pages in length overall, called Blop's Super Secret Mission, and it's one that I wrote in parts, so doing sort of a third of a page at a time and then seeing where it would go. So introducing things like the Yeti and then what's going to happen with it, and and just kind of keeping it quite free moving like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you've got the combination of the longer stories and the shorter stories as well. All have just got this, as I say, these lovely little insights into our wonderful blue planet that we're slowly fucking over. Oh god! And so, still going off the Kickstarter. Kickstarter is up now. At time of recording, there is 24 days to go, so like nearly a month of time to go. So, what are your goals so far for the Blop Martian Explorer Kickstarter?
So the main goal is. So do you mean like the actual like totals and so on, or
totals, rewards, stretch goals, things like that? What's everything that's going on with the Kickstarter?
Okay, cool. So overall, we're looking for 1,700, which will cover printing loads of copies of the book, and then also things, all the postage, Kickstarter's cut, and all that kind of stuff as well, and making a few the other reward items. If it does manage to reach its total, which I mean it's starting slow at the moment, but if we do get there, there's various stretch goals which will include things like colouring books, badges, and hopefully
enamel
getting like
pins,
spot gloss.
Enamel pins I saw in the video you did, a very cool enamel pin.
Yep, so that one's in the main rewards at the moment. There's a couple of tiers where you can get the pin. There's one that's on the £20 level where you get the book, PDF of the book, bookmark, sticker sheet. You get your name written in the book in the thank you section, and Blop pin, and then it will come signed as well.
Yeah, so lots of different rewards on offer, Capers. Check them out. And so it gets completely funded. All the money you need. What are you going to do with it?
Make the book. So I'm working on the book right now. So if all still, if it stays on plan, it'll all be ready to print shortly after the campaign finishes. I should be able to start fulfilling the orders early May, and I'm looking to give the book a proper release LCAF this year.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned on the Kickstarter, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about this shit, but you know what? We're going to have to. Apparently, according to you, Brexit may impact prices from manufacturers. For example, more delays or paper becoming more expensive. So when I asked a couple of episodes ago, what is the impact of Brexit on the comic industry? This is what I was talking about. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, that's all still pretty much up in the air. Like, God knows what's going to happen.
Because it's been delayed yet fucking again.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I didn't really want to mention it, but I thought it's best to address that there's the possibility that could happen. But I think overall, in terms of affecting that Kickstarter, the biggest impact would just be I'd have to order fewer copies.
Yeah.
Obviously more than enough to cover, actual backers and then have plenty to sell. But it would just mean fewer of those. The unit cost would be higher, but
yeah. Although, in fairness, if Brexit does happen, I think people are going to be less concerned about Blop Martian Explorer and more concerned with, oh shit, there's Mad Max gangs roaming up and down the A40.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's what's going to happen. We're going to go full 28 days later on this shit. It's going to be... Oh, God. I mean, I don't want to sound defeatist or alarmist or extremist or anything like that, but I do believe, and this is just based on my opinion, there are other people that may know more who may think, no, it's not going to be that bad, but I believe that if Brexit goes through, whether it be no deal or deal, that's the end of Britain as a superpower. That's it. Like, we'll still be a first world country, but we won't be an economic superpower anymore. We will just be that shitty little island just off the Atlantic that is full of, weirdos and racists. We're in the former category. You and I want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
We're the weirdos.
I'd rather be a weirdo than a racist.
Yeah. Oh, God. But, look, however, there's a change the fact that I think this is something worth investing in. I think this is something worth backing. Because if the little blob of cool is anything to go by and the artwork you've given out is anything to go by, I mean, I love the colours on it. I love the different sizes of the panels, the different shadings and stuff. Like, particularly the thing where he's cooking the food thing. It's very do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Edgar Wright's editing style, the way like with Hot Fuzz and things like that. It's got this rhythm to it with the different sizes of the panels and the different things, and like the whirs and the dings of the microwave in the background, the big flabe thing up front, and it's got this really cool rhythm to it, this really cool pace to it that makes it rather exciting to read, I find. So I think there's a lot to this book that people ought to check out, not just the thematic elements of this alien examining human behavior and all this sort of thing, but also it's just a fun book to read. It's a visual treat. So it's something you should check out, Capers. It really is. It's got the Podcaper seal of approval on it, tentatively, as you know. I haven't actually read the whole thing yet, obviously, but you know, I really like Blop's little book. Cool. So yeah, check it out, Capers. So let's say it all gets funded. You put the book out. What is after that? What is the future of Blop?
Well, it's a series that I'll then want to continue doing, because I'd love to see it being one of those that kind of runs over several volumes, and then I can tell longer stories. So I really like at the moment series like the Hilda books by Luke Pearson.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I haven't read those books, but I've seen the series on Netflix, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Like. And I was really pleased to see it get a Netflix series, which I enjoyed. Looking forward to the second season. I'm also looking forward to when he finally gets out the next volume, because that's been coming for a while. But yeah, so I see probably in the future. So if I get to a second volume, it will be. I've got a story in mind which I want to split over two. So it'd be a part one of a much longer story, and the whole book would probably be all that one narrative, or there might be like a very smaller kind of like B story at the back,
just to flesh things out. Now I get it. Yeah,
but that's kind of still more just in the works. So I've got lots of notes and things about other stories I want to tell, but nothing more concrete than that at the moment.
Because there's lots of things, lots of stories you could tell. This is the great thing about this premise, is that there's infinite possibilities, because there's infinite things about human society and behaviour that deserve to be analysed and satirised and all sorts of things like that. So you've really stumbled onto a gem here, I think.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, one thing I do want to do with the next book is take some of the stories to Mars more and show more of that. Because I think this book is very Earth focused, and this can get more of the actual sort of world building for all the Martians and like how their society works, but still involves some planet hopping, coming back to Earth, and visiting some of the characters that you'll meet in this volume as well.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see what direction you take it and where it goes forth. It's going to be pretty cool. And so, just so the Capers know, are you going to be attending any cons in the future? Something we always ask here.
Yep, so I've got 2 booked this year so far. So I'll be at the MCM Comic Con in London. That's in May, on the 24th to 26th. Mm-hmm. And then I'm doing the Friday of LCAF, which is on the 7th of June. And that's the only ones I've confirmed so far. I might be at Thought Bubble. It depends whether or not I get a table, but the applications I think are still open at the moment for that.
Well, I'm told quite reliably that anyone who's anyone goes to Thought Bubble.
Yeah, I've been to Thought Bubble now. Like, I think last year was my 6th year in a row. So me and Don McKenzie, we've tabled there together since 2013.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so yeah, it's always a nice event to go to. it'll be interesting to see how things change with the move this year.
Oh, yeah. So, well, it'd be very good for any capers to check you out there. So if capers, if you're at any of those events, check out his stuff. Buy his shit! Do it!
Do it!
And on that slightly aggressive bit of capitalism, I think we're going to end the show. Thank you very much, Alex, for joining me today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And if you enjoy the show, capers, please tell your friends, shout it from the rooftops. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to some of our other super episodes. Like we talked about sci-fi and aliens and shit plenty of times on the show. Check out any one of them. And you can listen to the show on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, or at podcapers.com. We have a Patreon. Check out the rewards. Patreon.com/AP2HYC. If you want to get in touch with us, suggest show topics, or maybe come on the show yourself, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AP2HYC, or email us at podcapers@AP2HYC.com. Thank you very much to Dan Harris for our logo, the lovely microphone with red and blue 3D glasses. Those are mine. And thank you for listening. This has been Podcapers, the official podcast for a place to hang your cape. Cue the music!